Hey, what's up? My name is Nikki, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I teach you front end and back end coding in HTML, CSS, and PHP, as well as MySQL and object oriented programming. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this image gallery. This is a HTML template that links to a upload page template. On the upload page, you can click on this link. You can choose an image like so. You can give your image a name. You can also give it a description if you want, and then click upload. Now, in this tutorial, this is not a PHP or MySQL tutorial. This is actually just the HTML template. So if you want to know how to actually upload it to a database, then that is a separate tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm just giving you the HTML design, which is the front end, and in a separate tutorial, I'm going to give you the PHP MySQL backend code. So once you upload it, if this were a PHP website or if this were a dynamically generated website, you would go to this page, and every image that you uploaded would show on this page. For this tutorial, the images that show on this page are the images that you choose to have on this page. So to begin this project, you're going to need a few basic files. Create your folder anywhere you like. If you plan to connect this to a database and follow my tutorial where I show you how to actually upload this to a database, then you're going to want to create this folder in your htdocs folder or whatever server that you use, whatever your local server is, that's where you want to create the folder. If this is going to be an HTML, not a dynamic web page, then you can create the folder anywhere you want. But for me, I'm putting it in my htdocs folder. So you only need 3 files. Your style sheet is blank for now, your index is blank for now, and your gallery is blank for now. You're going to want an image folder, and in your image folder, that's where you put all of your images that you're going to use for this project. The images that I use are most likely not royalty free, so you can't actually use these images on your website, but you can use it to practice HTML if you want. First, you're going to need a background image and call it background.png, whatever the file extension is. You're also going to need to put all the images that you want to use for the project in the same folder. These are all the images that I'm using for this project. This is 9 images total, but you can use any amount of images that you want because this is going to be a completely responsive gallery. To demonstrate, let me show you, this is what this page looks like full screen, and then if I resize it, all of the image automatically will resize when I resize the window. So this is the responsiveness of it. It doesn't really matter, the size of the image is automatically going to fit when you resize it. So all of these images are set to be the same height, but the width doesn't really matter. And the image is automatically going to fit the height, so it doesn't matter what size image that you choose, all the images are going to be set to the same height. So once you have the files that you need, then you want to open the folder in your text editor of choice. You should use Visual Studio Code. Since I'm using Visual Studio Code, unless you prefer to use another editor, which is perfectly fine. It's just that this editor has some shortcuts that I use, and so if you're using a different text editor, you won't be able to use the same shortcuts that I use. So let's begin with our index file, and the first shortcut I'm going to use is a boiler. This is an extension for VS Code, and I'm just deleting everything I don't need, which is I don't need JavaScript link. Alright, so we're going to reference our style sheet here, style.css. We're going to add a title. This is the upload page. I'm going to remove the description, and I'm going to leave everything else the same. Then I'm going to copy all of this and paste it into my gallery here. And I'm just going to change this title. I'm just going to call it image gallery. Alright, I'm going to close this for now, and we're going to work on the index page first, which is the upload page. This is our upload page. That's the first file that we're going to work on right now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set some body styles. We want to give the body a background that is the image background. So I set background URL, and it's in the images folder. And these are all my images. I'm choosing the background. Alright, as you can see, my background is tiled, so we want to not repeat this. So let's add no repeat. Alright, now let's set the background size, and then we want to set the background position to center. In order to have the background cover the whole page, we're going to set the body minimum height to 100 VH. Alright, so now the image is covering the whole page. I have a few more body settings. I want to set the margin and the font size, and I want the font family to be Verdana Sans Serif. Alright, lastly, I'm going to set the color, the default font color to white because we have a dark background, so we want a font that is a light color. Alright, so now let's add some content to the index page. We're going to put a form here, so let's create a div for the form. I'm going to call this div form container. Then I'm going to give it a heading, and then I want to add a form here. I'm going to leave accent empty. I'm going to set method to post. I'm going to set autocomplete to off. And then I'm going to set ink type multi-form data right here. Alright, so inside the form, let's add a label. I have label for image, and the name is image. Now I'm going to add an input type. Now, input type is file. The name of this is image, same as for. Except means these are the type of files I have. I'm going to do a list of image files that I'm going to accept. I've got JPEG, PNG, GIF. Alright, and now the value I'm going to set to be 0. Well, nothing, just empty. Alright, now I want 2 line breaks for this, and then I can actually copy this and paste it. And for image, we're going to change that to, we're going to say name, and also change the label to name. And type is going to be text, and you can remove this except, and we're going to add that this is required. Alright, so now copy this one and paste it here. And the last field is going to be the description. I'm going to shorten it to DESCR, and the name description. I'm going to remove this where it says that it's required. Okay, we have our form. We need a button now. Alright, so for the button, I'm going to add a paragraph and a button tag. And my button tag is type submit, name submit, and upload image. Alright, so under the upload image, I have one more thing I want to add. I want to add a link to the gallery, and let's call this show images. So this is going to go to this page, which has nothing on it right now. Alright, so that is it for the form, and now we're going to style the form. So back on our style sheet, we're going to style the class that we created right here called form container. Alright, so first in our form container, I set the width to 100. Now I'm going to make it a flex box. I'm going to set the flex direction to column so that the divs are not side by side. And I'm going to align items to the center, which would be this from top to bottom, the center of the page or the center of the div. Okay, so now let us do some more styling. Alright, we're going to give the form a border. I'm also going to add some padding to the border. Some padding in between the content and the border. Alright, next I want to give the edges a rounder look, so I'm going to add a border radius. Alright, so now I'm going to style the input fields. So for the input styling, I'm going to work on the text, which would be these two, and I'm going to give them a border radius just like I gave the form a border radius. I also want to add some padding, and I'm going to set the width to be 100. I'm going to make the font size kind of big, so I'm going to make it a font size of 18 pixels. Alright, that looks right to me. So next, let's work on styling the link that is down here. So first, I'm going to style the paragraph, which the image and the link are both nested in a paragraph. I'm going to center that. Alright, so now I am going to style the link. First, I change the background, and this is a white color. I'm going to change this to RGB, so there, and then I'm going to give it an opacity of 0.7, or I like 0.5 better. You can kind of see the background showing through. Next, set the position to relative, change the color to be off black color, give it some padding, give it a border radius of 7 pixels, and set the top to 25 pixels. Alright, now we can work on the button right here. I'm going to put this right below the input. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is give the button some padding. Then we're going to give it a border radius. Then we're going to change the background color to a off black color. Change the font color to white. And then you want to make the cursor, instead of this arrow, you want to make it a pointer. Okay, now we can hover over the button and you'll see the change. Let's make this so that when you hover over it, the background color changes. So let's say hover, and so we're just going to swap these two out. So the background is going to be white and the button is going to be black. Actually, I have a better idea. Let's just change it so the background color, we'll leave this color the same, and we'll change this to be like a lighter shade of gray. So now when you hover over it, it just changes to a lighter shade of gray. I'm going to change this to 10 pixels. So a little bit rounder. How about 18 pixels? There we go. I like that. You can play around with it and pick what you like. I like that roundish look. Same with the input. If you want it to be rounder, just change this. Let's see. Let's go up to 18. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm changing the wrong thing. I meant to change this. So let's go with 18. So if you want that look, you could change it to 18 if you like that better. I'm gonna go with, for me, I'm gonna just go with 8 pixels. Okay. Next, let us center this right here. So we have this H1 tag. So let's just do add right here. You just add form H1. And as you can see, that did not work. So I just put it H1 right here. And I changed the font size and text align center. If you wanted to use this settings with form, you would do it like this. The reason it didn't work is because if you look over here, your H1 is not nested inside the form. So that's why it didn't work. But you could put, let's remove this first. And I'm going to go back up here. Alright, so where it says text align center, just do form container, H1. And then in order to set the font size, let's put it up here. And let's just say font size 1.5 EM. Alright. Okay, so it looks like we are done styling this page. You could change the background color here when you hover over it. So I'm gonna just copy this and paste it here. And then I'm gonna say when you hover, let's change it. I gave it a like purplish color. Kind of blends in with the background. Let's change the font color too. So right now it's a dark color and we want to let's make it white. Alright, so now you just hit this button and this page pops up. You choose an image and you see the image name right there, and you can type in a name for the file here, a description here, and if this was connected to a database, you just click the button and your image is uploaded. So now we're going to work on this page right here. This is where all of our images are going to show up. Alright, so let us open up our gallery file. We can close this index file. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a paragraph here with a link back to the index page. I'm going to call this, give it a class of home link, and I'm going to put a link in here to index, and let's put upload image or upload page. Alright, so as you can see, we need to style this right here. So let's go to our style sheet. We're going to work on this class home link. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a white background. I'm going to set the text decoration to none. I'm going to set it to be 25 pixels from the right and set that to position absolute. Now the rest of the settings are going to be the same as up here as this button right here. So all we got to do is just add home link A. Actually, we're not copying the button, we're actually copying this. So let's find that. Let's copy all of this right here. We'll copy from here to here, or actually just copy those three and paste it here. Alright, so that is actually what we want right there. It looks like a button, but it's really a link. Let's change the background color when you hover over it. So let's say a hover, and then we're going to change the background. Let's just change it. Let's keep the color the same. Just change the opacity. So just add 0.5 at the end. 0.5. So when you hover over it, the opacity changes. Alright, so now we have a link back to the home page, like that. Next, we're going to add the images. Let's add a heading for the image page. I call this image gallery. Let's create a class for this. Let's call this goal H1. Alright, goal H1, let's style that. So I'm going to do H1 dot goal underscore H1. Font size is 1.5 EM. I'm going to text align center. I'm going to give it a top padding of 50 pixels. Now we're going to add a div under that heading. I created a div with a class called gallery images, and inside that div are going to be all of the images in their own divs. So we need to create classes for gallery image styling, and we need to style the image div. These are two classes. So this is one class right here, and that's another class. So let's go to our style sheet and do the styling for this class right here. First, we want to make this a flex box. We want all the divs inside of this flex box to wrap automatically. We want to center the nested images both vertically centered and horizontally centered. And then we want to add a margin. I give it a top margin, like up here, of top and bottom are 25 pixels, left and right are 10 pixels. Inside this class that we haven't styled yet, we're going to nest a div that contains the image. So here's a div, and now let's put an image inside of it. So we have the source, a title, and alt image. So let's put an image that doesn't exist. Alright, so the purpose of the alt is just in case the image does not load, you can write what the image is. So I have an image of Black Panther, so I'm going to put Black Panther. So if the image does not show, you can see right here, the alt is going to tell you what this image represents. So now I'm going to put the image in here. These are my images. Alright, as you can see, this is a big image. It's taking up the whole page. We're going to style it so that it doesn't take up the whole page. But first, let's add a title. A title is what you see when you hover over the image. So right now, I'm hovering over the image, and you don't see anything because there is no title. Well, let's say I type something random there, and you see when I hover over the image, that's what shows. So I'm going to replace this random with a description. If you remember, in our form, there's a field for description. The purpose of description is to be able to add it to the title. Alright, so now you see I've added a title, a more appropriate title. So when I hover over it, you can see the description, which is the title. Or I put the description in the title. Alright, so now let's go ahead and style this. We have to style this image div class, and we also have to style this right here. And of course the image. So let's go over to our style sheet and work on the styling. Alright, first I have the image div, and I'm going to set this to flex 1. I meant to say display flex. So this is this right here. This is the parent container. Parent of all images. I put a comment there. So this is a flex box. It contains all of the images. I set the flex direction to column, which is up and down. I center the content, which is from left to right or horizontally. It's in the middle. From left to right, it's in the middle. And I'm also aligning the content to the center. Next, I am styling the div, the image that is in this, the image that's in here. I'm styling it so that all of the images are the same height. And you see that's a height of 300 pixels. And then I have a class called inline, and that's just basically to display inline instead of, if you see this, I have the flex direction is set to column. So without me setting it to inline, they would not all wrap together. So in order to show you exactly how that works, let me add a couple of more images. Actually, this is not parent of all images. So you want to copy this, and I'm going to add 2 more images. And so this is like basically the template for all images. And so I added 2 more, and so I'm just going to change the image. Alright, so I have 3 images now. And so if I were to So this is what it looks like full screen without any other styling. I'm going to add the rest of my images now. It's basically a copy and paste. So I have 9 images total. So I'm just going to add 6 more of this. So just copy this for however many images you have. If I was doing this with PHP, I would just create a class and do this automatically. But since this is an HTML tutorial and not a PHP tutorial, instead of me creating a class, I'm going to have to copy and paste this for every image. So that's 6 images. Alright, so these are all the images. You could leave it like this if you want, or you can continue styling it like I'm going to do. Now remember, this is the final result of what we're creating, so there's only a few other tweaks to get this done. I added titles where I was missing titles, so you see the titles are now there. And so we're going to style these titles. So these are all my my images, 9 total. And there's one more part of this here, and if you open up your template, you'll see this right here. I have a div called show name, which is right here. I'm sorry if you went ahead and pasted all your images without this, but also keep in mind that this is not a necessity, it's an accessory, so you don't have to add this. But at the bottom of all my images, I have another div, and the class name is show name. So I'm going to style that class show name. Alright, we have a little bit of extra styling to do, and then we're done. I'm going to add a border to the div to the image, I put a border around the image. I'm also going to give it a border radius. That's completely optional. If you like it square, just flat, I'm giving it a border to add a little curve to the edges. So I set the border radius to 7 pixels. Here's something cool that you should know if you don't already know. If you were to set this to 20%, that would create circles like that. So if you had a square image, it would actually create a perfect circle. So that's pretty cool to know, right? That's good for like profile pictures, your design, or if you're designing a website and you want to create like a circle. If you make it square, it's going to be a perfect circle. Otherwise, it'll be like an oval shape. So I'm going to go back to what I had, 7 pixel. Alright, so that's the border radius. Alright, now let's style this show name div down here. First thing I did is I gave it a margin top of 0. I also gave it a padding top of 0. And now I'm going to give it a background color. You could choose whatever color that you want. For this, I decided to make it an off black color. I set the font color to white. Set the bottom to 15 pixels. Position relative. I set the right margin to 1 pixel. And the left margin is also 1 pixel. I'm playing with this bottom a little bit to bring this up a bit. So it's now 25. I'm going to bring it up to 35. 35 is too much unless you want it there. You can put it right there if you want. I'm going to set it to, actually, let's try this. Let's set the padding. Alright, I set the padding to 1 to 5 pixels. And looks like I could still bring it up some more. Alright, 37 is the sweet spot for this. No, 36. So you can play around with this right here at the bottom. But for me, the sweet spot looks like it's going to be 36. And the padding top is not going to be 0. Alright, it appears as if we're done, but there is just one more thing we gotta do. So this is my gallery. I'm zoomed out, and this is me at 100%. These are all my images. If you wanted to make the images, if you wanted to make more images fit on the screen, all you would do is go here and change the height of your image. So right now, it is set to 300. Let's change that to 200. Alright, and as you can see, changing the height makes it so that you can fit more images on your screen. So now this is my screen at 0 with a height of 200 pixels. So it's really up to you the size you want the images to be. I feel like this is a good height. The only other part that you need to edit is, although you can't see it, this link right here has the potential to break apart, and I can't show it to you, but you're just going to have to trust me on this. So in order to prevent this link from breaking apart, we're going to add a setting, and it says at maximum width of 800 pixels. You want to set the home link, which is this right here. This is a class of home link. You want to set the position to position relative because the default setting that I set up earlier is position absolute. So you want to change it to position relative. Set the top to 5 pixels and the left to 140 pixels. So there you have it. That is the HTML part. If you want to know how you can take this template to the next level and use it to dynamically create an image gallery that you can upload to using your form, I'm going to show you how to do that. I created a video showing you how to do that, and the link to that video is going to be in the description. Thanks for watching this video with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I will play around with this a bit. Since I changed the image size, then it affected this right here. This is the show image div. So by me resizing the image, it affected the show name. So show name, I would just change the font size, and that seemed to do the trick. So I changed the font size to 12, and that looks better. So here's the final product. There's your image gallery. There's your template for uploading. It's been fun. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you want me to provide you with the source code, just add a comment and say, please, just add any comment, and in your comment also add that you want me to add the source code, and I will upload it somewhere and provide it if I get enough requests for the source code. See you next time.